Meal planning is important because it prevents us from being a disappointed wreck when dinner time comes around and we have no clue what to make, or even if we have the ingredients to make the meal. It's a time and a money saver, but most importantly, it frees up valuable brain space. Creating a meal plan prepares us for the week to come and gives us peace of mind that we're organized and can feed ourselves and our family. That's why I do it, and that's why Plan to Eat helps me do it. Your subscription includes access to the Plan to Eat website and fully featured mobile apps on iOS and Android. And Plan to Eat gives you the tools to clip and organize recipes from any website, the ones your family loves and that fit your dietary preferences and needs. And you can create a meal plan around your schedule. Then what happens is the Plan to Eat software automatically creates an organized shopping list based on your plan. So sign up for your free trial at plantoeat.com/timecrafting. That's plantoeat.com/timecrafting. The coupon will be automatically applied to your account and can be used when you're ready to subscribe. It's valid for new customers only. Give Plan to Eat a try today. I'm Mike Vardy, and this is the Productivityist Podcast. If you've been thinking about starting or refining your morning routine, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Productivityist Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vardy, and you see I varied from my routine there because normally I open up with the welcome. But this time I decided to do something a bit different, which is kind of ironic or counterintuitive considering what this episode's about. I talked with Benjamin Spall, who's the co-author of My Morning Routine, the new book. And we talk about routines, morning, evening. We talk about assembling routines. We talk about the different elements that make up routines. There's so many things we get into. This podcast is anything but routine, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's just get into my conversation with Benjamin Spall of My Morning Routine here on the Productivityist Podcast. I'd like to welcome Benjamin Spall to the Productivityist Podcast. Benjamin, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Mike, it's great to be here.
So I am holding in my hands a copy of My Morning Routine, How Successful People Start Every Day Inspired. And as we were starting this conversation, first off, it is 10 a.m. where we are. And both of us would just kind of be warming up at this point. Wouldn't you say, Benjamin? This is kind of like when we're, all right, I could probably do some stuff now, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm certainly, like, we write a lot about early risers in our book and on our website in general, and that's certainly not me. I'm not a extreme late riser, but I'm definitely not on the earlier end.
So let's talk about the kind of the circadian clock and the body clock stuff, because I mean I'm that I've talked about this stuff before. When I did and I'll link to not only the book obviously, but I had a morning routine that's still up on the site, so I'm going to link to that as well. But how important are morning routines to people regardless of their body clock? Because I think a lot of late risers and even early risers are kind of like, well, I set things up the night before, or I just have, I just get up and go. Why are morning routines so critical for people regardless of what their body clocks are?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that when we refer to morning routines in the book and on our website, we're referencing the time between when you're waking up and either leaving your home or like transitioning to the next part of your day. Mm-hmm. So if, for example, you work a night shift, your morning routine may start at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And that's the point we're trying to make is your morning is when you get up, regardless of the time of day. But to your question about how I think it really helps with actually transitioning your day from, getting up, which whatever time of day you get up, that's not an enjoyable feat for most of us, to actually getting what you need to be, getting on with what you need to be doing that day. So that could be sitting down to actually do some work at home, or it could just be getting yourself ready to get out the door. So
I want to talk about the fact that you put this book together. It's an anthology of morning routines. And you're right. Like, again, it doesn't matter when that routine happens, it's when your morning begins. Why, Basin Curry wrote the book Daily Rituals, which talks about his famous daily rituals. Tim Ferriss has got his tools of Titans. Like there's these books out there that kind of say, hey, here's how I operate. Why are people so fascinated with like these mental models of I need to have a morning routine. Let me find out what Ryan Holiday does because I want to focus on my productivity, or what let's say looking through the book, let's say Biz Stone about because because they're parents. Like, why do people gravitate towards this kind of, not just the book but your website as well? But why do people gravitate towards those is it like, what have you found as you've kind of been going through the process of writing the book, and even just in the history of your work over at the website as well?
Yeah, well, I think in general, I mean, not just morning routines, but people are fascinated by routines. And I found, because, I finished writing this book 3 or 4 months ago now. So I found that even when I pick the book up now to like prep myself for something or remind myself of something, I can actually be meaning to look at, some of the parts I wrote and actually find myself, reading someone's routine and really enjoying it, even if I've read it 5 or 6 times. You can really get engrossed in that. And it's kind of, there's definitely a sort of voyeurism about it, that's for sure. We like to put it like the book gives you a peek inside the lives of busy, successful people and actually makes it simple to replicate what they do. And we've certainly found that. And one thing that the book definitely is we say how successful people start every day inspired. But it's really a collection of people from all walks of life. And some people are more successful than others, and some people are certainly successful in different ways. And we're really looking at real examples of real people. And certainly some of the routines are a little wacky, a little out there. Like we have Dave Asprey, for example, the bulletproof coffee guy.
Immediately, Dave lives not too far from his biohacking lab is not too far from where I live. Yeah, Dave's morning routine would be an interesting one to follow through on. I mean, so would Ferriss's, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, no, we definitely have some routines where I'm like, this is fascinating, but I'm not going to do much of it, But for the most part, a lot of them are just very simple, very repetitive, I would say. And that's one thing that the book certainly gives you. As you read through the routines, you begin to notice that a lot of people are doing the same things. And we're not trying to say that you need to do one thing or another. We're not saying you have to get up at 5 a.m. or something like that. What we are saying is that there's these repeated patterns that people come across, and then you could just try them out, try out certain things that you believe may work for you. And in truth, they may not work for you, but just actually giving them a go and experimenting that's all we ask from the book.
So out of the routines that you kind of put together and assimilate, kind of assimilated and organized for this book, what are some of the things that you've taken from people's routines? Maybe give a couple of examples that you've added to your own routine that maybe weren't there when you first established your own.
Of course, yeah. So, I mean, one thing that more from the website, I've been doing this for a while now, but I certainly I make my morning as calm as possible. And I know that may sound a little boring to some people, but when the rest of your day is pretty hectic, full of emails, full of like calls and just all over the place and meetings and such, making your morning calm is it's just an incredibly nice thing to do for yourself. And in my view, it makes my morning that much better. Like I purposely don't check email on my phone. I'll check Instagram because to me that's a calming experience to go through some nice photos, but I don't check email. I don't check Twitter. I don't check, I use Asana. I don't check that. And I purposely use that time so that me and my wife can sit down and have breakfast together and just talk about the day ahead and really just, enjoy that time together before like the craziness of the day begins.
Out of all of the ones you've assembled, which ones, because I know that when you were putting them together, you actually said, hey, has anything changed? You probably want to, I know you emailed me to ask if and actually, and we did, I think we updated on the website too. There was a couple things that changed.
Yes.
Do you remember whose routine changed drastically that you were kind of like, whoa, really? Or was there not much variation when it came to people's routines from when you initially got them to when you were putting them together for this book?
You know what? There wasn't a huge amount of variation, and I would say that's both good. I'd say that's mostly good because, but at the same time, we definitely say we have a chapter in the book called Adaptation, and in that chapter we talk about how it's okay to adapt and change your routine over time as long as those changes are kind of like on your terms. So falling out of different things that you actually want to be doing isn't a good thing, but when you decide to change something, that's absolutely fine. And like you said, we spoke to Ryan Holiday, and he updated his routine for the book because he had a child a couple of years ago, so that was obviously a big change that he wanted to add into it. And the author Jenny Blake, she changed hers because she went from being single in New York City to moving a boyfriend into the same apartment, a small studio apartment, not much bigger than my own. So that both of these changes, they were brought about by actual life events, and they're both difficult. It's interesting to read the differences they make. And But for the most part, I would say that the cores of the routines are the same. It's more kind of moving that around and, like I say, adapting into those changes.
Now, one of the parts of the book you discussed is chapter 5, and this is the one that I'm really close to, and I'm sure you are as well. You know exactly what I'm going to talk about. Evening routines. I'm a big believer that the evening routine is kind of like the real morning routine for somebody like me. Because I suck at mornings. So if I don't have things set up for me the next morning, and I mentioned this, like having my NutriBlast, like my NutriBullet shake ready, having my clothes set aside for me. Like I do all that stuff the night before, because when I wake up in the morning, I'm like you, I like to have that calm morning.
Right.
How would you say, and I will say that morning and evening routines are, like, to me, that they are, they're equally important. What are your thoughts on the evening routine and the morning routine, kind of like, just like we talked about the early bird and night owls, where does evening routines fit in terms of what your thoughts are on it?
Yeah, we actually, let me find you a great quote. We actually wrote an article about evening routines the other day. And we had a Dutch project manager, and I'm not gonna try and pronounce her name, but she quoted to us that her evening and morning routines seem almost inseparable, and she said it's almost like my sleep is part of a daily 12-hour long routine. So it starts in the evening, sleep in the middle, and then her morning routine. And the way that we like to look at evening routines is that instead, like many of us used to be, instead of simply running up the hours until you're finally bored enough to go to bed, you should structure your evening routine that helps you wind down from the responsibilities of the day, and can help you get a head start on your morning. So even if your morning isn't your most productive time of day, and that comes much later, actually getting a head start on your morning the night before is incredibly beneficial, because it really helps you give a calm morning routine, like the moment you wake up.
One of the things that comes my way when I talk to people about the importance of routine, because like I said, I think they bookend your day, the morning and evening routines. They're the things that you can rely on. When the day gets all messy in the middle, that those are the things you can rely on. But what I hear from people a lot, and you address this in the book as well, is, yeah, but Mike, what when you travel? Like, what about when you're on the road? Or what about, if I'm going to be in a completely different location? Like, how do you talk about this in the book? There's some routines in the book, but what are some of the things that you find people do that allow them to have their routines carry through no matter where they are?
Right. Yeah. No, this is definitely something that came up again and again. And we were happy that we could interview some people that travel a lot, especially for business. And from speaking with them and from speaking with people that travel for other reasons, we propose generally, and many of our frequent travelers have said this, is that it's entirely possible to keep your morning routine in place when you travel, or at the very least to have a travel-ready routine that you can use on the road and always know is there when you need it. And by travel-ready routine, we generally kind of mean just a simple or more pared down version of your at-home routine.
Like safe mode when you start up your computer again. It could do the bare bones of what you need it to do, but you can at least get up and running.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. In some cases, that will be actually running, as you say. Like, for example, you can work out of a hotel. You can work literally like out of a hotel room, and we find that to be less distracting. You can sit at a desk, and the only distraction you might have is room service coming in at one point. But also, you can even work out in a hotel room if your hotel doesn't have a gym. It has a chair, it has something that can help you do push-ups or something. And of course, if you're into running, you can do that wherever. So we find that being in a different environment and traveling for work and such, it definitely does add stress to your mornings and changes things about. But we think you can really keep the bare bones of it, and like you say, kind of a safe mode version of it, and actually just keep that so that when you're at meetings for the day, because if you're traveling for work, you're probably doing something different than what you would normally be doing. It can at least make your morning still that calm place before you have to begin your day.
So when I was traveling recently, the Seattle airport has the vending machines for the Google Fi, the phone that you can take. And they have the free giveaways where if you answer a quiz. And one of the things that they had the water bottle, they had stuff that would be good for travel, wasn't like some interesting stuff, but they had a resistance band, like and I'm like, what, I need something like that, because there's been instances where I've been in a hotel and either there is no gym, or the gym is not like I've been to hotels where like the gym's just locked. I'm like, I need something that. So I actually stopped and answered the quiz just so I could get because I can't use the Google Fi phone being Canadian, like it's only available in the US. But I wanted the resistance band because it's small, it's compact, and then I could do workouts if I wanted to in my hotel room without fail. How long in your through your research and through the whether it's anecdotal or just through actual through your findings of just routine establishments, how long does it take for a routine in most cases for people for it to take hold?
Yeah, so we're very we didn't like to give a precise number for this because we're not scientists, we're not productivity experts. We I can't remember what we put exactly. I think we said just give everything a go for 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
We didn't we didn't put a precise number on it. I'm sure there probably is one. The point we're trying to make is you want to give it enough time that you actually give it its due, but at the same time, if it's clearly not working for you and it's clearly something that you're not actually sure you will enjoy, then maybe just, take it out and go on to something else. But we definitely, we talk about this a lot in the conclusion as well. We definitely think the key is to actually experiment with these different ideas. And throughout the book, both from the actual interviews themselves and from the little bits of writing that we put ourselves in between, there are many ideas that you'll get from reading this book, but you're not going to want to implement them all. And you're certainly not going to want to implement them all at the same time. So we definitely recommend experimenting for a few weeks at a time. And I think you'll very quickly, realize if you enjoy it, then you can continue on with it. But if you don't enjoy it, then just drop it after a few weeks after it's had its due.
One of the things I want to get to, we're going to wrap up soon. We got a couple more questions, but one of the big things I want to get to is journaling. Like I am a big journaler. I journal at the end of the night. How many people in the book? I'd be curious to because again, this is a book where it's a reference book. Like you're not gonna. I mean, in most cases, you're gonna skim and find the people that relate to you the most, or that you're gonna find appealing, and you're gonna go, okay, let me look at them, and then you'll jump back in. That's the one thing you like about these kind of anthology style books. But how many people did you find were incorporating some form of journaling as part of their routine?
Yeah, we actually don't have the exact numbers on journaling, but in terms of journaling as kind of a morning meditation kind of advice, we definitely had a lot of people that spoke about meditation and more modern ideas on meditation, which I would put journaling, well, it's probably not that modern, but nowadays idea, I would definitely put journaling into that category. So we had a lot of people that, though they may not meditate, they would talk about meditating per se on a morning run or even on a morning commute or a walk in nature. And that's something that has come up time and again. And though I don't know how many of our actual participants meditate, as in sitting, cross-legged kind of thing, it's definitely keeping, meditative moments in your morning is definitely something that came up time and time again. And it's certainly something that we have a whole chapter about meditation in the book. And it's something that even, myself, I just meditate 10 minutes a day, but those 10 minutes are incredibly beneficial for the rest of my day. And it's nothing special. It's literally just, sitting down, listening to like waves, I think I have right now, although I change it up. And it just makes a huge difference. And I don't even do that in the morning, but at least giving yourself time to have that moment. And I think that's what journaling brings. That makes a huge difference. It really allows you to think about, everything, your life and such, and actually bring that into your work and, realize that a lot of what you're doing isn't that important in the greater scheme of things, and actually just, have that calm moment again.
Now, I'm not going to ask you how someone should establish a morning routine, because you do talk about that in the book. You pick up the book to figure that out, everybody, and learn about somebody. But maybe as we get close to wrapping up here, maybe the most surprising thing that you found as you were compiling this when it came to routines, like what was the thing that you kind of like, well, that's something I didn't expect, or maybe you, Michael, just were kind of like, it didn't disturb you, but it was just kind of like one of those, those moments. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would say, and this is, I'd say a positive for people reading the book. There was nothing shocking. I mean, I'll come back to Dave Asprey again. You should read his routine. It's fairly shocking, but there's nothing crazy per se. And we have this problem quite a lot because sometimes people ask us to write articles about, the crazy morning routines. And I'm like, maybe we're interviewing the wrong people, but nothing is crazy.
But does that really help? But and I think you're right though. But does that, like, the crazy morning routines? I think those are more for fascination than for implementation. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally agree. And yeah, I mean, even people who like to be crazy and quirky, I'm not sure if the morning is when they do that. But yeah, it's just we certainly haven't had anything particularly crazy. We have incredibly interesting routines. Like, for example, we had General Stanley McChrystal, and that was one of the most awesome and scary phone calls I've ever had in my life. But his is just fascinating. And we have so many other people like him where their routines are incredibly interesting and incredibly practical, but they're not crazy. But that actually means you can get some ideas from their routine that you can use in your own, which I wouldn't say you could get from a crazier one.
Benjamin, this has been great. I want everyone to go up and pick out this book, My Morning Routine: How Successful People Start Every Day Inspired. It's available now, so you can go get it. Yeah. And I'm really excited to see this out here because there are, we've seen, like I said, Mason Curry's got the book about daily rituals, but this establishing a routine is something that you could it's a building block. Like, you don't have to do it all at once. And by having some people that you can look to as mental models, I think that's what we love to see. We love to follow what other people are doing, successful people. And again, the great thing about this book is that there's so many different ways to look at success and these successful people in this book that you're going to find a ton of ideas in here. Benjamin, where else can people can get the book on Amazon, and where else can they find you and Michael's work?
Yeah, so the book is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those places. The website is mymorningroutine.com, and you can also find me at benjaminspall.com, and my co-author and co-founder Michael is at michaelzander with an X.com.
Thanks again for joining me today on the Productivityist Podcast, Benjamin.
Thank you for having me.
So there you go. Now you can build a morning and or evening routine. I suggest both. And I would suggest you go pick up the new book as well. Check out all this stuff we talked about in the show notes. And of course, if you want to get more material, like more bonus stuff, we have what I call bonus episodes. We talked about 3 more things, and you can get that if you are a member, a patron of the Productivityist Podcast. Just head over to productivityist.com/community, or membership rather, productivityist.com/membership. It is a community to learn more about that, all the stuff that comes with that. So again, productivityist.com/membership. Thanks to Benjamin for joining me this week on the show. Thanks to John Polstra for producing the show. Thanks to my team for assembling all the things that go into the show. And thanks to you for listening. Until next time, I'm Mike Vardy, the host of the Productivityist Podcast, reminding you to stop guessing and start going.